20 Facts About the Life of Malcolm. Malcolm X, born Malcolm Little in Omaha, Nebraska, emerged as one of the most dynamic and influential figures of the 20th century. His early life was marked by hardship, but his intellect and natural leadership ability set him apart, even from a young age. While he attended school during his early years, his formal education came to a halt after a significant event that would forever shape his worldview. Disillusioned by the racial injustices embedded in American society, Malcolm was forced to forge his path outside traditional structures of learning. Rather than following a linear path, Malcolm's life journey led him through a wide range of experiences, from his time as a petty criminal in urban America to his transformation into a global symbol of resistance and empowerment. His early exposure to racial violence and inequality shaped a man who, despite limited formal schooling, became one of the most well-read and intellectually formidable figures of his time. His self-education, fueled by extensive reading during a pivotal period of his life, played a key role in his eventual rise to prominence. Malcolm X's legacy is as complex as the man himself. He was a figure whose evolving ideology challenged not only the racial hierarchy in America, but also the global systems of oppression. Throughout his life, he continuously redefined his beliefs, demonstrating a rare willingness to grow and adapt his worldview as he gained more knowledge and experience. From his early years to his global influence, Malcolm X remains an enduring figure who continues to inspire and challenge individuals to think critically about issues of race, identity, and power. Now, let's explore 20 pivotal moments that shaped the life and legacy of Malcolm X. Number 20. A childhood marked by tragedy. Malcolm X's early life was shaped by tragedy when his father, Earl Little, a Baptist preacher and an activist, was reportedly murdered by white supremacists. Malcolm was just 6 years old at the time. Little's advocacy for Black empowerment and ties to Marcus Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association made him a target. After his father's death, Malcolm's family suffered financially and emotionally. This tragedy fueled Malcolm's mistrust of white society, sparking his lifelong journey toward Black self-sufficiency and empowerment. The loss left an indelible mark on his worldview, contributing to his early belief that self-reliance and defiance were necessary for Black survival. Number 19. A dream derailed. At 15, Malcolm dropped out of school after a teacher discouraged his ambition to become a lawyer. The teacher told him that being a lawyer was unrealistic for a Black student, steering Malcolm away from his academic potential. This disheartening moment was a critical turning point, leading Malcolm to leave formal education behind. He felt the weight of systemic racism bearing down on him, shaping his rebellious spirit. This experience planted the seeds of his future activism, as he became determined to prove that Black Americans were capable of achieving greatness, despite the barriers set by a prejudiced society. Number 18. From Boston. Hustler to petty criminal. After moving to Boston, Malcolm's life took a darker turn. Living in a predominantly Black neighborhood, he became involved in petty crime and the underworld. Known for his sharp mind and street smarts, he quickly became part of a burglary ring that targeted wealthy homes. During this period, Malcolm also adopted the flashy zoot suits and conch hairstyle, symbols of rebellion against mainstream culture. His immersion in street life exposed him to the harsh realities of racism and poverty, laying the groundwork for his future transformation from a hustler to a revolutionary. Number 17. Behind bars. In 1946, Malcolm was arrested for burglary and sentenced to 10 years in prison. His incarceration was a pivotal period in his life. Behind bars, Malcolm came face to face with the consequences of his lifestyle. Although initially rebellious and resistant to change, his time in prison allowed him to reflect on his life choices. The isolation and harsh realities of prison life eventually opened Malcolm to a new direction, one that would lead him to reject his criminal past and embrace a more disciplined, purposeful path. His time in prison was the crucible for his intellectual and spiritual rebirth. Number 16. Conversion in prison. While in prison, Malcolm was introduced to the teachings of the Nation of Islam, NOI, through letters from his siblings. Fascinated by the doctrine of black self-sufficiency and racial pride espoused by NOI leader Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm converted and adopted the NOI's beliefs. He rejected his slave name and adopted X as a symbol of his lost African heritage. This conversion gave Malcolm a renewed sense of purpose, as he abandoned his past life of crime and focused on self-improvement. By the time he left prison, Malcolm had become a devoted follower of Elijah Muhammad, prepared to spread NOI's message. Number 15. Embracing X. After his release from prison in 1952, Malcolm quickly became one of the Nation of Islam's most dynamic and influential leaders. The name Malcolm X symbolized his rejection of his slave ancestors' imposed names. For Malcolm, X stood for the unknown African name lost through slavery. His sharp intellect, charisma, and passionate oratory quickly earned him a following. His powerful speeches and unwavering commitment to the nation's ideology drew attention from the media and black communities alike. Malcolm became a rising star within the NOI, marking the beginning of his influence on the civil rights landscape. Number 14. A rising minister. Malcolm's rise within the Nation of Islam was swift. As a minister and national spokesperson, he traveled across the country, recruiting new members and spreading Elijah Muhammad's message of black separatism and empowerment. His fiery speeches, which rejected integration and advocated for black pride, self-reliance, and self-defense, attracted both admiration and controversy. Malcolm's growing profile brought the NOI into national attention. His relentless critiques of racism and his powerful delivery made him a prominent figure in the civil rights movement, even though his views often clashed with mainstream civil rights leaders. Number 13. Rejecting integration. Malcolm X's early message was starkly different from that of many civil rights leaders of his time. While figures like Martin Luther King Jr. preached nonviolence and racial integration, Malcolm took a more militant stance. He rejected integration, arguing that black Americans needed to separate from white society to achieve true freedom and independence. His message resonated with many who felt frustrated by the slow pace of progress and systemic oppression. He famously advocated for black self-defense, urging communities to protect themselves by any means necessary, a phrase that became synonymous with his approach to black liberation. Number 12. Controversial comments on Kennedy. Malcolm X's fiery rhetoric reached a boiling point after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy in 1963. When asked about the president's death, Malcolm infamously remarked that it was a case of chickens coming home to roost, implying that America's history of violence had led to Kennedy's assassination. This comment caused an uproar and led to his temporary suspension from the Nation of Islam. Despite the backlash, Malcolm remained unapologetic, further distancing himself from the mainstream civil rights movement. His remark on Kennedy's assassination became one of the most controversial moments in his public life. Number 11. Breaking with the nation. In 1964, growing tensions with Elijah Muhammad led Malcolm to leave the Nation of Islam. Disillusioned by the internal politics and Elijah Muhammad's personal scandals, Malcolm began to question the NOI's leadership and direction. His ideological differences became too great to ignore, and he formally broke with the organization. This split marked a significant turning point in Malcolm's life and beliefs. No longer bound by the nation's doctrine, he began to explore new paths, seeking a broader, more inclusive vision of racial justice that extended beyond black separatism and religious dogma. If you like our work, follow our channel and hit the notification bell so you get informed each time we upload a new video. Number 10. The Hajj Pilgrimage. In 1964, Malcolm X made a pilgrimage to Mecca, known as the Hajj, a spiritual journey that profoundly changed his worldview. During the pilgrimage, Malcolm witnessed Muslims of all races praying together in unity. This experience led him to embrace Sunni Islam and rethink his stance on race relations. Upon his return to the United States, Malcolm began advocating for racial unity and cooperation, marking a dramatic shift from his earlier views. His transformation after Mecca reshaped his message as he began to see the potential for brotherhood across racial lines, though he remained a staunch advocate for Black empowerment. Number 9. A new vision. After his pilgrimage, Malcolm X's vision evolved from Black separatism to a more global perspective on racial justice. He began to advocate for human rights on an international scale, seeing the struggle of Black Americans as part of a broader global fight against oppression. He founded the Organization of Afro-American Unity, OAAU, in 1964, aimed at promoting human rights, economic independence, and self-determination for Black people worldwide. Malcolm's message of global solidarity gained him new followers and broadened his appeal as he sought to unite people of color around the world in their fight for justice. Number 8. Becoming a marked man. Malcolm X's departure from the Nation of Islam and his increasingly radical message made him a target. He received numerous death threats, many from within the Nation of Islam itself. His criticism of Elijah Muhammad's leadership and his newfound global perspective on racial unity angered many former allies. Despite the threats, Malcolm continued to speak out, knowing that his life was in danger. His courage in the face of such opposition only added to his mystique. The mounting tensions surrounding his life would soon culminate in a tragic and violent end. Number 7. Meeting global leaders. During his travels, Malcolm X met with several world leaders, including African heads of state, to build support for the plight of Black Americans. He believed that the civil rights struggle in the U.S. should be taken to the international stage, framing it as a human rights issue. By seeking solidarity from leaders across Africa and the Middle East, Malcolm aimed to unite people of color around the world against colonialism and racism. His meetings with influential figures demonstrated his ambition to forge global alliances, reflecting his expanded vision for Black liberation beyond the borders of the United States. Number 6. The Assassination. On February 21, 1965, Malcolm X was assassinated while delivering a speech at the Audubon Ballroom in New York City. 3 gunmen opened fire, killing him in front of a crowd that included his wife and children. His assassination shocked the nation and cut short a life dedicated to the fight for justice and equality. The tragedy left a void in the Black liberation movement, as Malcolm's powerful voice was silenced, just as his message was evolving into one of global solidarity. His death marked the loss of one of the most dynamic and influential leaders of his time. Number 5. Questioning the killers. 3 members of the Nation of Islam were quickly arrested and convicted of Malcolm X's murder, but controversy and doubts have surrounded the case ever since. Recent investigations have uncovered new evidence suggesting that the wrong men may have been convicted and that law enforcement may have been involved in a cover-up. The mystery surrounding Malcolm's assassination has persisted for decades, with many still questioning who was truly responsible for his death. The case remains one of the most debated and unresolved chapters in American history, fueling ongoing interest and speculation about the true motives behind his killing. Number 4. The autobiography. Malcolm X's autobiography, co-written with Alex Haley, was published posthumously in 1965. The book, The Autobiography of Malcolm X, became an instant classic and remains one of the most influential works in the civil rights movement. Through the book, Malcolm detailed his life, transformation, and evolving beliefs, offering readers an intimate look at his personal journey. His candid reflections on race, religion, and society resonated with readers around the world, solidifying his legacy as a revolutionary thinker. The autobiography continues to inspire generations, serving as both a historical document and a powerful narrative of personal and political change. Number 3. Inspiring Black Power. Malcolm X's ideas and rhetoric laid the groundwork for the Black Power movement of the late 1960s and 1970s. His emphasis on Black pride, self-reliance, and resistance to oppression inspired a new generation of activists who sought to challenge systemic racism more aggressively. While Malcolm did not directly lead the Black Power movement, his influence was undeniable. Figures like Stokely Carmichael and the Black Panther Party drew heavily from Malcolm's teachings as they fought for Black empowerment. Malcolm's legacy as a militant voice for justice continues to resonate within movements advocating for racial equality and Black liberation. Number 2. The Radical Legacy. Malcolm X's life and work left an indelible mark on American society and the global struggle for racial justice. He remains a radical figure in the sense that he challenged the status quo and called for a complete overhaul of systems of oppression. His fearlessness in speaking truth to power and his willingness to evolve his beliefs made him a unique and transformative leader. Today, Malcolm X is remembered not only for his militancy, but also for his ability to change and grow. His life is a testament to the power of self-reinvention and the pursuit of justice. Number 1. Becoming a global symbol. Though Malcolm X's life was cut short, his legacy endures as a global symbol of resistance, Black pride, and human rights. His evolution from a street hustler to an international leader of liberation movements is a story that continues to inspire. Malcolm's commitment to the empowerment of oppressed peoples worldwide resonated far beyond his immediate context. Today, he is celebrated as a transformative figure whose ideas have transcended time and geography. Malcolm X's life and message remain relevant in contemporary struggles for racial justice, making him a lasting symbol of resilience and revolutionary change. Malcolm X's journey from a troubled youth to a powerful voice for racial justice underscores his profound impact on both American and global civil rights movements. Despite facing numerous challenges, his transformative leadership and evolving philosophies left an indelible mark on history. His relentless pursuit of equality, from his early days in the Nation of Islam to his global advocacy for racial unity, showcased his commitment to a more just world. Malcolm X's assassination in 1965 did not diminish his influence. Instead, his ideas and legacy continued to inspire new generations. His autobiography and teachings have become cornerstones of civil rights literature, reflecting his enduring role in shaping the discourse on race and empowerment. As we reflect on his life, Malcolm X remains a powerful symbol of resilience and revolutionary thought in the fight for justice. We are glad you have reached the end of the video. Please subscribe to the channel and leave a suggestion about any topic of your choice in the comments. We are a growing channel and we truly appreciate your support. We'll be back real soon with 20 new curious facts about something else.